All right, welcome back to the One More to Experience radio show live here in the studio. So we have our first guest in the studio this year. So a couple of episodes we were virtual via Zoom. This is our first guest in live in person this year in the studio. Her name is Yvonne McCoy. How are you?
I am well. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I love the hoodie. I just came back in 3 features for 5 days a year. That is correct. Awesome. We are live right now on Instagram Live, Levon 1021, on Facebook at Women's Short 2 Facebook page. So how was your week? How was everything?
Things are good. It's been a peaceful, quiet kind of week, which is good.
Right, yeah. A little of the slow storm last week,
Right, exactly.
and then trying to get that transition with shoving in, and now we're into a new month, so already, because it was like January is along, like now already in February. So can you tell us who is Vaughn McCoy?
I am a mother. I'm a grandmother. I have a nonprofit organization. I'm your neighbor. I'm your sister. I'm your friend. I'm just a regular person. I'm an everyday person who has experienced sexual assault. That's who I am.
Oh wow, we'll get into that. So basically, you talk about your everyday person. So like basically, how did that come about? So who was Yvonne McCoy growing up when she was younger? When you was younger?
Well, I grew up in a very religious family. My maiden name or the family name is Coffee.
Okay.
And my grandma, most of my aunts and all were in the church. So that's how we grew up, in a Pentecostal church. Mm-hmm. And the church and its teaching has guided my life, have guided and saved my life because of what I've believed and what we've been taught as a family. We're a very, very close-knit family, a very loving and supporting family. And that's how I'm able to get through what I get through.
Amen. So so I kind of look at the same place as you. I go to a church that's Pentecostal. So like,
I hear you.
yeah. So just pretty much. Yes. So Coco said, okay, Mom, I'll see you, Mom. So thank you. Shout out for that. You go.
Yes,
So basically, you talk about you growing up. You grew up with a church family, and now you said that you are a survivor of sexual assault, and like kind of domestic violence or something like that. But like I'm against that sexual assault. So can you tell us what happened, those experiences, and how'd you get through that, and how'd you like? I know it's a lot, but how'd you get through that?
Okay, so at the age of 8, I was sexually assaulted by a trusted family member. My mother had this individual to care for us while she worked, and while she was gone, on one occasion, I can only remember one occasion, I was sexually assaulted, and I was 8 years old. I was assaulted again, raped at the age of, it was 14. It was the Sunday before my 15th birthday. It was the last Sunday in November 1975, standing on the corner of 22nd and Cambria, right outside of Murray's.
I know that. Yeah, that's Mm-hmm.
Right outside of Murray's. And these 3 young men walked up. I was waiting for the bus. I could actually see the bus coming. And there was an older lady that was standing there waiting for the bus as well. My sister and I had walked to the bus, and when I saw the bus and I saw these young men, I said to her, "You go ahead back. I'll be okay because the bus is right here." I was sexually assaulted by him. I remember it being a grassy area, like where you keep abandoned cars, right, maybe a block from the strip or a block from that area. And after the assault, my whole world just changed. My entire world changed. Because after the assault at the age of 8, I didn't remember anything. Wow. I had no idea about anything until I was cleaning up one day. And a show was on Oprah.
Okay.
And the subject matter was sexual assault. And then I started getting flashbacks. And it felt like for a second I was going nuts. I'm remembering the house that we used to live in. I'm remembering my mom. I'm remembering Grandma Alice, who used to live downstairs. So all of these flashbacks. So I called my mother real quick. I said, "Mom, did we used to live on Franklin Street, yes. Did Grandma Alice used to live downstairs? Yes. Did so and so used to babysit us? Yes. So she's asked. My nickname is Dow. So she said,
Okay.
Dow, what's wrong? What are you asking me all these questions for? And I said, cousin so and so molested me, and she got really, really quiet because it had been. That was at the age of 8. I think when the recollection came, I was about 22. I was married at that point.
Oh wow!
So it was a long time, and it was that show that triggered.
That triggered.
That
Okay. Because she had 8 and 15 and 22, and pretty much it came back to you.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
how did you work on processing that, and like, because you just got married, so how did that affect your marriage? You know, like you went through that experience. You know, did it cause you trust issues, or the people?
My husband had no idea.
Oh wow, okay.
No idea at all. I didn't tell him until well into the marriage.
Okay.
Well into the marriage. Yeah, it caused a lot of distance because I didn't understand. I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know how to talk about it. I had not gone to counseling. I had not done any of that. Trying to handle it and trying to put it away in my mind all by myself. So it caused a lot of strain, a lot of stress, a lot of hardship within the marriage. But after having gone to counseling is when I began to open up, when I began to heal. I did have Christian leadership. Very strong leaders. My pastor, she's no longer with us. I love you, Bishop. Bishop R.W. Fletcher is no longer with us, and she was my pastor at that time, and we had a number of conversations, she and I. She sort of, did her best to sort of help me get through it. And the church is great. The church is awesome. The church is who I am. I was born and raised in the church, but I needed a little bit more than what I could get from the church at that point. I needed the guidance of the church, which was awesome, as well as trained, skilled, qualified individuals who had studied what I was going through. And it was at that time that I began to go into counseling. And I remember so vividly going to counseling. No. I remember the very first time, let's back up a minute, the very first time that I shared with strangers. I had gone to war, Women Organized Against Rape. And I went to volunteer. I just wanted to help other people who had encountered what I had encountered. And I remember the instructor saying, everybody stand up and say who you are and why you're here. And I remember hearing one person say, I'm here, my daughter was assaulted, I want to be able to help her. I heard somebody else say, I just want to be a better person, I want to know how I can support others. And then I heard a young lady stand up and say, well, I was assaulted twice. So immediately that got my attention. I then heard her say that at the age of 8 and at the age of 14.
Counseling in Europe, but
I'm like, wow. So I'm really pulling in, trying to really hear. And then she went on to share her story, and her story was so identical to mine.
Wow.
I said, I can't wait till she sit down so that I can sort of have a conversation with her. And once the young lady sat down, I then realized she was me. It was sort of like an out-of-body experience. As she was talking, I could relate to her, but I had no idea that the woman that was speaking was actually me until she sat down. And that whole experience began to help unravel some stuff. But if I could be allowed to step back just a few steps, the very reason that I do what I do is because of a woman named Dorothy. After the assault at the age of 15, having gone to one of the hospitals where you go to for individuals who have been sexually assaulted. And there was a young lady there who works for the program that sort of meets you there, and she'll explain to you what's going on and why you need the examination and what the doctor is going to be doing and what he's going to be looking for. So I had to disrobe out of my street clothes and put on hospital gown. And when I took my clothes off, grass fell out of my clothes. And I remember saying, see, it really did happen. And I remember that lady coming from across the room, the exam room, came across the room and stood right in front of me. She looked me straight in my eyes and she said, "Baby, I believed you when you first said it." That had an impact on me at the age of 14. And I didn't begin my nonprofit, I didn't begin sharing, I didn't begin opening up until years later. But the impact that that woman, Dorothy, had on me, I remember leaving that exam room that evening saying, I want to do for somebody else what Dorothy did for me. So that's why I share my story every opportunity I get in the hopes of strengthening another survivor.
Yes, we need that because it's a shame that women endure that and men to endure that, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And it's got to be people that stand up for that, stand up for it and stop it, you know. And
Absolutely.
and that's why I'm for our young people just trying to deal with their traumas now while they're young and not carrying it with them. You know what I mean? Get the help they need while where they are so they can while it's in their mind that okay, this happened. I don't understand what's going on. Have someone talk to them. Hey, if I can talk to them about now, I can be more free. I don't gotta hold on to this stuff, just hold on to this thing and not and just talk to someone about that, experience that, you know. So now you say you started a nonprofit. So from 15, you had a vision. Yeah, God birthed a purpose in you to start something. And what was that thing that you started?
It's called LASA, Life After Sexual Assault. I can't even remember how I came up with the name. I just wanted individuals to know that there is life after sexual assault. Because for so long, I just existed. I woke up every day to look at me. Sure, you're alive, you're thriving, you're moving, but I wasn't living. I was not alive. I was in the land of the living, but I was far from being alive. And my whole hope is to help individuals to know that there is life after sexual assault. Will I ever be able to forget it? Can I ever erase it? Will I ever be far removed from it? It will always be a part of my life. There's nothing I can do to change what happened, but I can certainly change what will happen.
Right, going forward, yeah.
And that's what I do. So my whole basis is education.
Okay.
Initially, I just wanted to share. I just wanted to tell people what sexual assault was. And one morning I woke up and the Holy Ghost let me know my part in helping survivors. The best way that I could help survivors would be to educate as much as possible. And what caused that was after the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement left me feeling, I was so angry. I was so angry when I would hear individuals question the survivor and ask this type of questions that they ask. Well, why did you go back? Why didn't you tell anybody? If this really happened to you, why didn't you share? And I became enraged. And I said, well, after a while I began thinking, I said, everybody can't mean to hurt the victim that way. A lot of people ask the questions that they ask because they simply don't know. They don't understand what sexual assault is and how it impacts an individual. So after that, I began saying, I want to educate people. I want people to understand, why is it some people don't go? Why is it that some people go back to their perpetrator?
Right.
Why is it that some people never tell? Like in my case, in the beginning, I didn't tell because I didn't remember. At the age of 8, I had no idea until I was like 22 or 23. Another reason is because some people are re-traumatized. When people put out a myth or say things that are inaccurate, it causes the survivor to be re-traumatized, such as it was the way she was dressed, or she shouldn't have had those clothes on, or she drank too much, or she was being flirtatious. Those sort of things are myths that lead people to believe this is why the individual was sexually assaulted. If I walk down Broad Street, 12 o'clock in the afternoon with nothing on but my birthday suit, that does not give anyone the right to sexually assault me. Is it wise? Is it smart to walk outside like that? No. Is it wise to leave your keys in your car? No. But is that a reason for somebody to steal your car? Is it wise to run a red light? No. But is that a reason for someone to do some of the things that they do? No. So it may not be a wise thing to do, but by no means does it give justification to the individual to assault someone. So I try to share about getting the guilt and blame and shame off of the shoulders of the survivor and put them on the shoulders of the perpetrator.
The way it should be.
These questions should be asked of the perpetrator. Why did you do what you do? Why did you force yourself on an individual? Why would you not accept no for an answer? Why did you keep pursuing this individual? The whys should be directed to the individual who has caused the assault and not the individual who has been assaulted.
Yeah, so pretty much your organization goes to different schools and different organizations that talk to women.
Well, right now what I do is I have a live. I come on once a month, and I just share educational information. I am free to speak at organizations, speak at churches, I'll speak on the corner if somebody invite me to speak on the corner. It doesn't matter where. I just want to share my story. I don't charge anything to go. It costs nothing to ask me to be a part of your platform or your organization, just to share my experience. Am I an expert on sexual assault and what it is and all of that? No. Am I an expert on what happened to me? You better believe it. Am I an expert as to how I got over, how I got past, how I endured, how I sustained, and how I survived? Yes. And those things I am more than willing to share with other individuals. I want them more than anything to know it was not your fault.
It was not your fault, right?
It was not.
It's not your fault. And also you got to forgive. You got to forgive.
It's a key factor. Yes, sir.
That's not for them. It's for you. Forgive.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we forget that we got to forgive because you can't hold on to it. You moved on, but you got to forgive.
Yeah. And so many people seem to think that, okay, when you say forgive, oh, I have to forget what the person did. I have to just erase it out of my mind. No. That isn't what forgiveness is.
No.
Forgiveness is allowing yourself to rise above it, to keep living past what's actually happened to you. And I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for holding myself bondage. Do I forgive did I think I was a part of my abuse? By no means. But when I say I had to forgive myself, I held on to the fact that that I did something wrong. I had to have done something wrong. I had to have said something. I had to have behaved some kind of way. And that's the guilt that I held on to. So before I could forgive my perpetrators, plural, I had to forgive me. And after forgiving me, I was then able to forgive both of them. And I found out that, again, that healing process that comes with forgiveness is for the person who's actually been wounded. Right. The person that has been hurt.
Yes.
The person that's been violated.
So I had a question about this. The people that been violated and they go back to that person, perpetrator, and they go back. And sometimes people question, why you go back to the person that hurt you? Do you know why some people do that? They go back, even that person violated them, and why do they go back? And instead of getting help, getting support so they can move out or move forward, so why some people do go back? Yeah.
Some of the reasons for going back is because they themselves feel like they did something wrong. The perpetrator could be somewhat, and instances like that when they go back, it's somebody that they know, somebody that they're familiar with. It could have been a family member, it could have been a spouse, it could have been somebody, a significant other, and they've been made to believe that they were wrong, or that they misunderstood, or that they made a mistake. And for that cause, sometimes that's the reason why they go back to their perpetrator. They go back to the person who inflicted this harm upon them, because they themselves sometimes believe that I did something wrong. He really didn't mean to do it. There was a mistake made. He didn't mean to hurt me. I did something wrong. And then some people feel like I don't deserve any better. This is he is my significant other. He's good to me other ways. He's good to me at other times. He provides for me. He violated me, but he said he's sorry. He didn't mean to, and he promised never to do it again. So for some of those reasons are the reasons why some people go back.
Okay, that's yeah. Because now I kind of better understand, because sometimes like when I heard stories of women being hurt by men and they go back, and I didn't understand like why they. I'm like, why they doing it? Why they go back? They just. But I think now we have more resources now to help them transition, help them deal with that right there and there, and hold the thing back, And you mentioned about life as sexual assault. Do you teach women or men about signs of something may be coming? Because sometimes it just happens. There's no steps to it. It just happens. There's no signs of signs. Okay, this could happen at some point. Or what? Do you know what some red flags that people can?
Whenever you feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Whenever you feel and you don't have to apologize for feeling uncomfortable around someone. If you feel uncomfortable and you feel like, this isn't a good match, I don't feel comfortable here, trust your gut, trust your instincts, and just know that this may not be a good thing, and feel strong enough within yourself to walk away, to distance yourself from the situation. There certain signs will just let you know that something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel. Somebody sometimes just someone being overbearing, someone being persistent, someone not accepting no for an answer. When you find someone that is so strong-willed, because sexual assault is all about power and control. It has nothing at all to do with an individual's looks. It has nothing at all to do with how seductive an individual actually is. Sexual assault is all about power and control. The perpetrator wants to inflict power and control over the victim. So some instances of individuals being controlling, you might just slow down and think it out and sort of take a step back and realize that maybe this relationship, maybe this communication may not be good for me, and go another way.
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of times we see the signs, but we just trying to like, okay, right, but we don't.
And as parents, a lot of times we're so blind sometimes as parents.
Right.
As parents, we sometimes don't pick up on the signs of our children.
Right.
Sometimes their behavior change. Now maybe
that's how I felt going that direction. As a parent, you see the child going, like you don't know what's going on, but like, what was it do that?
If you find them, and this isn't the be all that ends all, so I don't want anybody to believe, okay, if my child is experiencing these things that I'm about to say, they've been sexually assaulted.
Right, okay.
No. It just means that you might want to ask some more questions.
Yeah.
You might want to reach out for a trained, skilled individual so that you can begin to have a conversation with your young person. Let's say the child's style of dress totally changed. When she would, wear little cute tops and little cute pants and little cute outfits, now all you see is her wearing a big oversized shirt. Now you see everything she's wearing, she's covering up. She doesn't want to reveal herself at all. That could be a sign. The sleeping patterns, not sleeping like they used to, could be a sign. If a child has reverted back to bedwetting, that could be a sign that something is happening. There's something that is going on that is causing a change. Does it have to be sexual assault? No. A child that may not want to be around certain individuals anymore for whatever reason, all of a sudden they no longer want to be with that individual. And some of the signs that parents may want to look for as far as perpetrators, and the perpetrator will begin in many instances to groom the parent, preparing the parent for what they are about to do to the child. I know it's mind-blowing to even fathom the thought that they work on the parents. They befriend the parents. They become friendly and comfortable with the parents, and they begin to take sides with the child. Let's say the child has gotten in trouble about something, and this individual steps in and says, no, don't punish them, don't bother them, I'll take them out. We'll have a conversation. I'll have a conversation with them. They begin to groom the parents, causing the parents to believe that you have my uttermost trust, You can count on me. I'm your friend. I would never do anything to hurt my niece or my nephew, because at this time, everybody's auntie this or uncle that, even though there may not be any blood relationship. So these are just some of the signs. And above all else, when a child comes to you and say that something has happened, believe them. The percentage of children who are telling an untruth, children or adults, about sexual assault is so minuscule. It's really, really small. It's not a large amount at all. I think it's something like 2%, which is not a greater amount than many other crimes in which people have admitted to. So children don't make this up. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. And there are some other people out there that are doing some awesome work with regard to sexual assault. A young lady, a friend of mine, has a book out, and her book is called My Voice is My Superpower. It's kid-friendly, but yet and still parents can relate to it. So I encourage any and everyone who may be trying to learn about sexual assault, have a conversation with their children. I urge you to purchase that book. I think it's only a couple dollars. It may be.
Is she local here? Or?
Yes, she is.
Hey, what's her name? I'm trying to get her.
Sharita Holtz. Schultz. SHOAT. Sharia. Sharia. Yeah, Sharia.
Yeah.
Kill me. I can't get her name.
Because I'm trying to, at Office Cafe, I'm trying to get her to come to the platform.
Oh, you're familiar with her?
No, I'm trying to get, so I do Office Cafe where I showcase authors.
Oh, yes.
So I would definitely have, I want to love her to do March 5th, you know.
And the coloring, the illustration, all of that in the book is awesome. I would highly recommend individuals purchasing the book and having, now when I got the book and me and my grandson read it together. He read it, and after he read it, I then asked him questions about it. And we sat on Facebook. We came together on Facebook, and he read the book, and I asked questions about this. And it tells you about your body parts. That's so important. Children to call their body parts by the names. We call the vagina your pocketbook, or we make up names for it. It is what it is. Right. And they say, well, and some parents will say, well, it's easier for the child to say pocketbook and all of this, as opposed to saying the real name. No, teach our children
the actual names,
body parts, because if something were to happen, they go into a court of law. It is so much stronger when those testimonies come out and the child is able to say, cousin so-and-so grabbed my pocketbook. As opposed to cousin so-and-so touched my vagina, touched my breast, touched my buttocks. So we need to teach our children the proper names. My penis. Teach them the proper name for their body parts.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So what is next for you?
Well, I'm actually working on a project now. It's a month-long project, and it's called, what is my project? Me, My Sexual Assault, and My Place of Worship. And it actually began with me doing just my monthly projects on Facebook. And then I began to talk to individuals that have been sexually assaulted, have been born and raised in the church. In so many instances, in so many churches, and so many religious places of religious worship, it's still hush-hush. Wow. It's still so quiet. Nobody's talking about it. They'll have the bingo group. They'll have the father and son group. They'll have the mother and daughter group. They'll have the get your hair done group. They'll have get a new pair of shoes group. But nobody's talking about, in many instances, I'm not saying across the board,
right.
In many instances about sexual assault, the survivors that are in your congregations, those that are in your pews. So what I'm doing now is my prayer to have religious leaders come on for the entire year of 2022 to come on and share the supports that they have in place. How is it that you, as a leader, are supporting the members in your congregation?
Right.
What groups, what facilities, what supports do you have? And for those that don't have any, there's so many branches, there's so many ways in which to reach out and to educate yourself so that you can be a leader in the true sense of the word, helping the members in your congregation to grow past the trauma of having been sexually assaulted.
Yes, yeah. For that's definitely important that our churches have those resources in place, because that will help start bringing people back to church. Yeah, resources in places.
So many people have left because of feeling like the church is supposed to be your place of comfort, your place of safety. Exactly.
Right.
It's where you spend so much of your time, and if you cannot express in
What you're
that
dealing
place
with,
and be able to get the help that you need, then that's sad. It's sad if you can't go to your place of worship and find the help and support. And many pastors may not even know. Many pastors may I don't know how to do this, or how do we get started, or how do we do this, or what ways.
that's where you start.
Google it.
Right.
How can I help? How can I help my congregation?
Yeah.
Reach out to other audiences or other churches or platforms that already have things in place that are doing things. I've had a couple people on the last month that have shared some awesome stuff, that are in leadership roles and leadership positions, and they're sharing what they're doing in their church, the ministries that they have in their churches, so that they can be supportive of sexual assault survivors. So the help is there.
It is.
You just gotta
go ahead and get it. I mean, actually be the one to have the support for your church. You know what I mean? Because it's not about, you know, the money and stuff like that, but it's about providing resources for your people so that people will get help they need. So it can be better. It can be better for your church, you know, because you help someone else that's dealing with something. You help with them, so they can be better members for your church. You know what I mean? For your, you know, services. You know, so where people can find your organization, Life After Sexual Assault.
I'm on Facebook. It's Yvonne McCoy. There's a picture of my brother, but then in the background, there's my sign that says LASA, Lasa. I'm on Facebook. So that's the best way to reach me.
Okay.
I'm working on my sexual assault page. I do have a LASA, Lasa 6875 that you can go to also, and I share a lot of information there. So please, if you're coming together and you want somebody just to share their story, if you're not looking for an expert or somebody with DDD and GGG behind their name, somebody that's going to come and share their story with your congregation, with your school, with your family, whomever, I am more than willing. This is what I do. And one of the greatest strengths that I gain from it is that I'm empowered. Every time I tell my story, every time I tell my story, I'm empowered. And if I could just end on this note, I don't know if my perpetrators are dead or alive, but for me, every time I tell my story, it's like putting a nail in the coffin. Am I trying to kill them? Do I wish them death? By no means. But putting a nail in the coffin means that it's nailing their influence over me. It's nailing their power over me. It's nailing their strength over me. So every time I feel myself getting into a low place, even now, years later, and I begin to wonder, because at one point I said that my perpetrator was nice. He was not. How can you say you were sexually assaulted and your perpetrator was nice? Sometimes I still battle with that thought in my mind. So every time those thoughts come, I put another nail in the coffin, because I refuse to allow my perpetrator to have any more control or space in my life or in my head than they've already had.
Wonderful. So two more questions. Since you do a lot, you're a mom and a grandma, entrepreneur.
I'm Doll Baby. Not grandma.
Oh,
Doll baby. My grands call me Doll Baby. No grandma.
I apologize. Doll baby. I apologize. Okay. So you do, you do a lot, but what do you do for self-care?
For self-care, actually, I try to get as much information as I can.
Okay.
Because as much as I know about the topic of sexual assault, the more I feel like I'm able to help somebody else. And that's how I care for me. That's how I look after me. And I'm just a plain Jane. I love Netflix and something to eat. I am an admitted foodie. I love to eat. On my days off, watching Netflix, whodunit sort of kind of things. So, and then church. Church is my life. Church is who I am. And now that the buildings are closed, our churches have been coming together via Zoom.
Yeah.
And we've been having some awesome times, some awesome lessons that are being taught by our leadership on various topics. So that's how I take care of me.
Yeah, wonderful. The last question is, this is for, what advice would you give to yourself 15 and 8 years old back then, as you know, what you know now, for any young ladies that may be doing this right now?
And I can't say it enough, and it may sound like I say it all the time, but this is the platform. It was not your fault. If I could go back and tell the 8-year-old doll, my nickname, that held all of that in, doll, it wasn't your fault. That was your cousin's fault.
Right.
And if I could go back to that 14-year-old girl who stood on that corner, who after the assault, I looked up in the sky, and the very first thing I said was, even you don't love me. And I lived with that belief for so many years that even God didn't love me. I'd go back to that 14-year-old and says, God do love you. And what happened to you was not your fault. It was not your fault. If my last words on earth would be, it was not your fault. I can't stress it enough. And get the help that you need. Take your time. Take your time and your pace. So many people want the survivor to get well and get better soon, and they sort of rush them.
But they're not yet. Right.
They're not ready.
It's a process.
Just listen. If you listen, the survivor will tell you how to best help them. Sometimes all they want you to do is just listen to them. Sometimes all they want you to do is just hold them. Sometimes all they want you to do is say, I'm here. Let them tell you how to help them. And places like WAR, Women Organized Against Rape, and places like RAIN, which is the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. Those places have skilled, trained, and that's just to name a few, skilled, trained individuals that can help you get better.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm very, very, very honored to have you as a guest today. Thank you for being a guest on the show. I believe that manifesting at your platform will get bigger this year with more opportunities, help a lot of women and a lot of men to understand, in church as well, understand that such assault is a serious epidemic, and we had to learn how to heal from inside out, and just one person at a time. It's not a race to get healed fast. It's about it's a process. So, but thank you so much, and we definitely gonna support you and get you on platform. See, you can tell your story, and it helps someone. You know, so. For those who are watching, thank you for watching. Those on Facebook Live, Instagram, thank you for watching this. Share this video, comment on it, share this with someone that maybe knows going through this experience or dealing with the effects of it. You know, because you got this woman right here is willing to speak to them, willing to help, willing to take them to a place where they can get the help they need so they can be better for themselves. So the number, it's not your fault. It was not your fault. It's not your fault. So that's all you gotta say to yourself. When you be in that position, it's not your fault. Exactly. So with that being said, thank you for joining us. We'll go back to the Woman 22 experience in 2 weeks. Hopefully you enjoyed us and watch it and share it with someone that you love, and comment the video, and make sure you check on someone too. Make sure they're okay. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.